Welcome, everybody, to another episode of IncCast, recorded here live at Walker Design Studios, official home for Fanboys Incorporated. I am your host, DW. This week, or actually I should say on this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about some comics, obviously, and is Marvel Avengers Assemble giving us hints, the cartoon giving us hints to what's happening in the Marvel big screen universe, especially with Avengers 3, now doing the Lord of the Rings split into two movies now. So that's something we'll discuss, as well as our picks, toy news. And of course, I can't do the toy news without my co-host, the toy master, Mr. Joe Nubb.
What up? What's going on, everybody? How we doing out there in internet land?
I haven't seen you in a while. We've been busy doing stuff.
I saw you last week.
Yeah, I know.
I saw you yesterday.
No, you didn't see me yesterday.
As I awkwardly reach across the table and gingerly pat you on the shoulder.
Also, in a little bit, we're going to be joined by a fellow Star Wars nerd, geek, the Jedi Ink master himself from A&E's new hit TV show, Epic Ink, Mr. Josh Bodwell. So we'll get with him in just a minute. He'll be joining us. Con season.
What about it?
We're going.
You've been full board.
I know. Baltimore, then Granite State, and then
you've been balls deep in Baltimore.
Yeah, balls deep. And 8 more days, I'm going to be New York City again for the 3rd year in a row with Skip Winter, Unit 5 booth, and Comic Head. Red Anvil Comics picked up Unit 5, so they'll be doing the Unit 5 reboot issue 1.
Very cool.
So that'll be really cool.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, Comic Head will be there. I can't wait. I love hanging out with Brian. We'll get some video clips. We'll do some cool stuff. Speaking of cons, though, and stuff, and Star Wars, you went to New York City with me 3 years ago.
Yep.
You had gone to a Star Wars event that I want to go to one of these events. I'm not as big as a Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars, but not like you.
Right.
What is that? Is it like a Comic-Con? I mean, which one did you go to?
I was at the Star Wars Celebration 1 and 2 in Denver, Colorado, and Indianapolis, Indiana, respectively. And back in '99 and 2002, they were both before episodes 1 and episodes 2 came out. My sister and I went out there. A lot of fun. It was those were my first big conventions in a long time. Big, huge, lot.
It's outside too, right? It's everywhere. It's not just in a convention center itself.
It was
right?
primarily in the convention center.
I see some that they're just like outside venues or.
Well, I will say at Denver, the dealer tents. I remember there were some dealer tents outside, and it was pouring rain the whole weekend. So I was like wading through puddles to try and score an original vintage 1985 Yak Face, which I did. P.S.
Nice.
Mission accomplished.
Nice.
So anyways, yeah, it was big. It was huge. A lot of cool prop replicas or original props from the original movies, original cast members. There was just a huge Star Wars experience. Of course, everybody's cosplaying.
Right.
But everybody's just Star Wars characters instead of Marvel, DC.
Now,
anime.
do you think with the Disney purchasing, obviously, Marvel and Star Wars, are we going to see like a huge extravaganza next year? Or, I mean, would see something bigger now that Disney's involved with this?
Most likely, probably. I mean, how could
especially with the new movies coming out as well?
Right. And I mean, plus Disney already has had such a strong connection with Star Wars for years and years and years. You know, there's the Star Tours rides down in Walt Disney World there. They do Star Wars weekends. I don't know the dates of those, but those are always big fun extravaganzas. They've had exclusive Star Wars toys available at Disney stores. What else? Yeah, so there's always been a strong pairing between the two. But yeah, as far as now that Disney owns Marvel and Star Wars, are we going to see even more? I don't know. Spider-Man dressed up like Han Solo. Who knows?
Now with today's guest coming on shortly. Question: if you were going to get a tattoo, a Star Wars tattoo,
okay,
well, who would you get? What would you get?
Man, what an honest question. I got to think about that one.
Well, while you're thinking about that one, why don't we introduce our guest?
Sounds good.
All right. I want to welcome Mr. Josh Bodwell from A&E's Epic Ink and Star Wars. From what I hear on his bio is the Google of Star Wars and pop culture. Mr. Josh Bodwell, how are you, sir?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here talking to you guys. And, I do feel like I've been handed down the title of being a Google of information, but it's more like if your Google search was like completely random, because sometimes I can't on demand the knowledge I have. It just kind of spills out.
I hear you, man. I'm the same way.
Now, let's get a little bit of a background before the show. Before you became part of Epic Inc., you are a comic book nerd, geek, fanboy, Star Wars. When did this kind of start when you were a kid? I mean, was it right off when you were young as far as getting involved in comic books and Star Wars?
Yeah, I mean, I think my interest in art, just in general, as an artist, was due to comic books and fantasy art. I still remember my father bringing me home a copy of Green Lantern Corps. Like it was maybe 1988. I was born in '80, so I was about 8 years old. I was fascinated immediately by comic books, and I wanted to draw all these things that I saw in the comic books.
Nice. Now, when did you obviously started drawing before then, but this was kind of like the catalyst to get you going into that direction?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was like, it just opened my eyes to a whole new world. And I had an uncle who was a bit of an artist himself, and he was a huge Frazetta fan. So I was also introduced to fantasy art and all those like bold, amazing science fiction characters. And then, of course, watching Star Wars. I mean, who couldn't be inspired by that, you know?
Right,
Yeah,
definitely. Now, favorite character? Obviously, the Green Lantern struck with you, but as a favorite comic book, are you Marvel, DC, Image guy now? What were your favorite characters?
You know, I'm actually I grew up a Marvel kid. The Green Lantern was actually a fluke. I never actually really got into that series. I was an X-Men kid definitely through the Jim Lee years. You know, sort of when they rebooted just the X-Men.
Yep.
Outside of Uncanny. I was just a huge fan. So I kind of root for the Marvel side of things. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm excited about to see Affleck as Batman. You know, I love to see all these movies and stuff, but Marvel for me all the way.
Sweet, that was the correct answer. We were going to drop your call if you said otherwise.
Hey, wait a minute. I'm a DC guy. I grew up as a Marvel guy, and then both Joe and I had stopped collecting for years, and this is how this podcast got started. Was the fact we started collecting probably a year after the DC New 52, and it was a great jumping on point for me. And I don't know why didn't go right back to Marvel. 100%. I went right to DC, and I still do Marvel. I'm still an X-Men kid. I still love the X-Men. Yeah. But DC holds a new place in my heart now. I don't know why, but I don't know.
Good. Now,
actually, I was going to interject. Now, does DC not have a lot of some of the classic Marvel guys involved now? I mean, from the 90s and stuff like that?
Well, Jim Lee's over there. John Romita Jr. is over there doing Superman now. Jim Lee is like a besides being an artist, but he's a co-publisher of DC Comics as well.
A lot of shifting though. We've seen a lot of shifting, and then we're noticing too that they seem to, before in the past, Josh, you would know that it's Marvel versus DC. Now there just seems to be, hey, we'll share you for a few months. If the money's right, we'll share you for a few months. Image is doing it now with Scott Snyder. He's on 2 different books right now. So with Image and DC. So, and with now this supposed new thing with Greg Capullo, him and Snyder leaving Batman, going over back to his creator-owned Creech.
But didn't we talk last week that he said he was leaving DC, but then quickly retracted?
Well, he retracted, but that could be higher up saying, hey, wait, we haven't even talked about your negotiations yet. So now with everybody kind of playing well together, he could still be doing something with DC while doing the Image thing. And Scott's been doing it for a while now with what was it? Not American Vampires. Oh, Witches, which is his new book through Image.
Okay.
So, and he's got a couple vertical lines.
So it seems everybody's jumping in the same sandbox now, or they're combining all their sandboxes.
Yeah, and I like seeing that. I mean,
that's cool. Yeah, I think it doesn't expand the creativity that's coming out of these guys, to not be stuck in a certain house.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Not to mention the fact for all the fans that say, oh man, I would love to see so-and-so draw this character in, maybe, I think Mark Bagley, the guy drew Spider-Man for years and years and years, 20 years. And then I think a couple years ago, he went over to DC for a little while. So it's like, great, man, you get to see this great artist drawing DC characters now. That's phenomenal.
I think we're going to see a huge rate increase. I think there's going to be, just like we were saying on a few pods ago, Josh, we were talking about the influx of cons, and there's no there's no con season anymore. It's year round now.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed that too. I remember I felt like con season used to be sort of the springtime. Maybe you felt differently. But yeah, it's nonstop every single month, every single city, and it's exploding. And I don't know, did you guys touch upon, I know there's been some blogs and stuff too, where a lot of artists are kind of having a problem with the new shift in cons.
Yeah, we discussed that numerous times. We're friends with some of the creators that go to the con. Mark McKenna, prime example, you know, mistakenly double booking, or one con promoter saying, well, you were just at this con, it's only 100 miles away last week, why do I want you now at our con, kind of thing.
Right.
So now it gets into like the politics.
And now it's politics and a bidding war. It puts a con creator in a spot going, well, this con's going to offer me 500 and a free table. You're offering me 250. What do I do? Now it puts them in the spot when the con is the same weekend. Everybody kind of wants to skirt the issue if we ask, and I can understand why, you know, when we're talking with creators, everybody wants to get along, but sooner or later I don't want to say fisticuffs, but it's going to come to head. And, you know, some of the creators that we've talked to said, you know, with the influx of so many cons coming, we're going to wait a year or two, see which ones don't make it, which ones are doing it for the wrong reason. If your main goal is to make the mighty dollar, is your main focus, you're not going to last. If you love the culture and love what you're doing and you treat your guests right, you're going to last. So we're going to see a lot of it.
And I think the artists, I mean, if I can speak for myself, because you know, I'll go and tattoo at some of these Comic-Cons as well. For me, it's really about the experience. And if the con is more enjoyable, you know, and I feel like they're really, you know, catering to the fans, then I will want to return to that con, as opposed to one that, might be a little cheaper for a booth, or, you know, might have a higher named celebrity or something like that attending. You know, I really think that a few of the cons are just hitting the mark constantly. And then you've got some up and comers that, you know, are doing the best. But yeah, I think the time will tell. It'll weed out the ones that are just there to make the quick buck off the fans.
Oh, I agree. I mean, and we've done 7 cons so far this year for myself, and you've done 2?
Yeah.
2 or 1? Well, 2. The Albany ones.
Yeah. The local ones.
The local ones. And I've seen the influx of fans and guests showing up at the cons. Baltimore was huge. They did a great job of that. You know, they went 3 days instead of 2. But I don't want it to blow up and be like, okay, we reached our height, you know, our peak, and now everything's downhill. I don't want that to happen. It's too soon. Not that anybody wants to see that happen, but it's too soon. But
I don't think you're going to see necessarily the bubble burst, because
no.
I think fans are here to stay, and pop culture has become you know, part of just everyday culture. So I think that's going to stay. But if you're going to start pissing off the fans, you know, and producing shows that are too expensive to get into and just don't have enough for the fans, then you're going to see those kind of fall. But I don't think the fans are going anywhere.
No. And you'll probably give their traditional fanboy rage some people. It's something to yell about now instead of just the creators. Now they can start yelling about bad cons. But getting back to you, Josh. Now, when you were a kid and you were drawing some of the books, you said you were a Marvel guy. What were some of the artists that really influenced you a lot, and then shifting you over into doing tattoos?
You know, I think at the time I was definitely into that. Jim Lee was like, I thought he was just, you know, he was tits, man. He was just like, that was the guy that, you know, I hung the covers on my wall. You know what I mean? It was just, he was the man. And I think he definitely, you know, ushered in a newer style at the time, because previous to that, you know, things weren't quite as detailed and, you know, and sort of, you know, and, you know, when detailed, I mean, like, you know, he would like articulate every muscle, and, you know, whereas before it was a little bit simpler. And then it was strange. I actually started really getting into some of the retro artists, and later on, one of my favorite artists, and still to this day, is actually Mike Allred, who did the Mad Men comics. Now he's doing Silver Surfer, and I love that retro, clean, you know, telling a story and conveying an image in like the simplest form. I think it's just beautiful, and so it's a huge juxtapose from you know, the super detailed, you know, Jim Lee and Tom McFarlane days to Allred. But yeah, he's still one of my favorite. I think it's just his stuff is so slick, and I still love to read his stuff now. And but then I think as a tattoo artist, I got more into the stuff that was a little more painterly, and that goes to the classics like Frazetta, you know, and painters like now I'm just trying to draw on a blank right now. But Frazetta was definitely a huge influence in the kind of color schemes I love to work with.
It was Alex Ross too. Made a huge scene in the, wasn't it the late 90s too?
Early
90s,
yeah.
with his painted style. I love that. His card, the Marvel's collection, the card collection, was it Marvel?
That was Joe Jusko.
Was that Jusko? Okay. And we met him. We've met him.
But he was another awesome
painter
as well.
Oh man, you're bringing back memories. The Marvel Masterpiece card set.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, you can't even, you can buy a whole set now for like $5.
and it's worth every penny.
I tell you what, we were trading the foil cards back in the day. You could buy a foil card was like $10. Now the whole set's $5. I'm like, oh, come on. You can't even give those cards away now, but I love them. I have an uncut sheet of one of those sets.
Nice.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, that was seeing the characters fleshed out in a way that you weren't used to was just inspiring. And now in my tattoos, I do a lot of portraiture and sort of realistic styled imagery. And artists like Jusko and Alex Ross, their artwork translates really, really well into the stuff that I like to tattoo, which is, kind of fleshing out these two-dimensional images.
Yeah, and I have to say, in regards to your work, just checking it out, and preparing for the podcast today, I mean, there's so much character and texture to the tattoos that you make. I mean, the picture of Tony Stark, Iron Man, or Luke Skywalker there. I mean, you could have just done like a flat basic color for the face kind of a thing, but I mean, you really the color, the texture, the shading, it adds so much depth to the tattoo, and it really shows your passion for it. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. And that's really the stuff that I enjoy, and is to kind of create that texture and to show depth and dimension. I think it's something that I'm always working to improve. I consider myself forever a student of the art, and if I can convey that in a piece, I think that it just kind of blows people away, because they're not used to seeing that when they think of, the word tattoo. Right. You're usually thinking of, the off the wall, tribal dragon or something.
Right.
Now, in this day and age, the tattoos have really expanded into this sort of photorealistic genre, and I just love to create these types of images.
Now, when you started out, what was your first tattoo, and what got you to decide that you were going to be a tattoo artist instead of, let's say, a comic book artist?
You know what? Comic book artist was something that I through high school and stuff, I thought, this is something I want to do. As I got to the age where I got to, kind of mingle with some artists, either at conventions or, at in-store kind of appearances, and really kind of pick people's brains, I realized I don't want that job. It seems really hard, I start learning about things that, you don't fantasize about, which is like editors and and deadlines, and I was like, this is really not for me. I just want to create these cool images. Right. I actually a long time ago, when I was about 12 or 13, I got to spend some time talking to an artist who's actually local to me in Pennsylvania, Rags Morales.
Oh yeah,
no, that's awesome.
Yeah, he actually, I still somewhere in packed away. I have little note. He would give me little notes and pointers for drawing and books I should pick up, and just little odds and ends. And I have all this little stuff that he would give me. I was just a little fanboy kid, and he was super gracious and saw that I had a passion for the art. But once I got to see the behind the scenes, I got to see editor notes on pages he was working on, and I'm like, that sucks. Like, like if I draw a helicopter and then they come back and say it's too futuristic, like that sucks, because I had a vision,
Right.
So I kind of started to sway out of that. And then through a punk rock culture, I was big into music for a while. Punk rock culture is synonymous with tattoos.
Oh, by far.
So in those kind of music years of teenage years, I got into tattooing. And my very first tattoo is nothing really special at all. It was the late 90s, so it is some tribal, but it did include the Rebel Alliance symbol. So I was paying homage to my favorite thing, even from the start. But
very cool.
I'm actually in the process of lasering it off so I can get something else.
How old were you then when you got that one?
I was just about to be 18.
Okay.
And it was like, but it was an immediate passion. It wasn't, I just want tattoos because I think they're cool. It was like, I love the art. I love the culture. I want to start getting a lot of these. And that kind of kicked it off. And when I got the opportunity a few years later, through a friend of mine, Mike Rocco, he owns the shop, Funhouse Tattooing in Tannersville. He gave me the opportunity to apprentice, and I just dove headfirst into it. And I knew it was something that I just really wanted to do. And, and I've worked hard, for the last 13 years on it, and I'll always continue to learn. But it was something that I really had a passion for just immediately. And it was, waiting for that opportunity, someone to sort of have the open door of like, hey, why don't you try this? I believe in you, kind of thing.
18, the tattoo, the rite of patches. When you turn 18, you can get a tattoo. Well, legally,
right? Yeah.
I'm 18. I'm getting a tat right now. No, that's really cool. Now, how long was it? Now, I know you have to do an internship or apprenticeship in a shop. How long did you apprentice before you actually got to do your first tattoo?
I think my apprenticeship was probably about a year long, but in that year, I was doing some very minor pieces on Mike, who was apprenticing me, on some close friends, people that were my guinea pigs, that believed in me and allowed me to put some pretty terrible tattoos on them. And and I feel like the first year, that was really like the sort of the nuts and bolts of it. And then I feel, again, because I feel like I'm always learning, especially back then, I feel like the first 2 years after that were really cutting my teeth and figuring this thing out.
That's awesome.
We were talking, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, when I was having a hard time saying I'm the possessor of tattoos. I own tattoos. Well, I forgot what we were talking. Was it 2 weeks ago? Something like that. And I'm like, instead of saying a tattoo enthusiast, because I have a full sleeve and a couple of small pieces on my other arm, I'm like, then it's ownership. It's you own your tattoo. And Joe was laughing at me, but it is still type of an ownership, and it's addicting in a way. And people don't understand when you say, well, you got one tattoo, why did you all of a sudden say you want more after that? And it's something that I can't explain. Maybe you can, Josh. That I got my first tattoo was a dragon from Darkness, from the Image comic design.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And then I put it on my other arm so it mirrored. And then all of a sudden I'm like, Dragon Tails, a little bit of Geiger. Here we go. Now I have a full sleeve. It just grows. It is addicting. Can you think you can explain that to some of the people that don't have tattoos, maybe to understand what we mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, it's addicting is probably the easiest word to describe it, but it's a little bit different. It definitely comes from a passion or a love of the art itself, and then you add to that the passion to collect, because it is your collection. Like you said, you own your tattoos. Your tattoos are your personal art collection, and the desire to expand that is pretty common and therefore addicting. And I think once people get a tattoo, and you can probably agree with this, and you shed the fear of what is it going to feel like, the fear of am I going to be able to do it, and the fear of, I think for some people, what is it going to be like to be a tattooed person? Like, is it going to change me? And once people get past that fear, they realize it's something that's really enjoyable. It's not the process necessarily. It hurts. Don't get me wrong. But just the process of collecting a piece, to have it, to display it, that is so exciting and thrilling that it just expands into a tattoo addiction, if you will. And I don't think it's for everybody, there's the old adage, the difference between a non-tattooed person and a tattooed person is the tattooed people don't care if you don't have one. It's not really I don't think everyone needs one, and I think you have to kind of own it, And it's just, I think once you get past the fear, then it's more about the excitement of the next piece, and it's, again, you're never going to convince everybody, and you're going to get a lot of strange looks for now until the rest of the time. But the tone of the public acceptance of tattooing has definitely changed over the last 15 years.
More and more people getting tattoos, and you're right about the fear. It took me a year to finally get the balls to say, okay, this is what I want. Every time I get close to a shop, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, walk out, walk out. And like I said, it took a year to decide, because your first tattoo, you're scared. Obviously, you have no ink on your body, and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be on me for the rest of my life. After the first tattoo, you're like, I don't give a shit. I'm cool now. I don't care if it's going to be on the rest of my life. This is great. You know, when people ask, they're like, does it hurt? And I always laugh. I'm like, it does, but it's your tolerance for pain. It depends on where it is. I mean, my sleeve was 2 8-hour sittings, and I'll be the first to say that I don't mind I'm a man. I cried the last 3 hours. It hurt more to wipe the ink than it did to drill me. And I'm just like,
are you describing the first time you had sex or the first time you got a tattoo?
Actually, it was at the same time. 2 people were drilling at the time. But yeah, I was very impatient with when I wanted to get a piece done, I want it all done in the same day. I don't like coming back. And we did 2 8-hour sittings, and I don't mind saying, yeah, I was shedding a tear. It hurt, but after it's a piece, and it means something to you. It's self-expression. I know a lot of people with tattoos don't like to publicly talk, you know, out in public. They don't like to talk to a lot of people. They're introverts or whatever, but they express themselves by, you can get a feel what this person's like through their tattoos they get.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And I think too that obviously, as you see from some of the body of my work and just some of the pieces that we do on Epic Ink and things like that, is that now, you know, the nerds are uniting in their love of the art. And there's, you know, this acceptance now that, you know, it's okay to also get your favorite superhero tattooed or your favorite cartoon character. And, you know, that's just as acceptable as, you know, needing to have like a badass, you know,
skull.
Yeah. Now it's interesting, this conversation, because I'm the one guy in the group who doesn't have any tattoos. And, you know, part of the reason why was, you know, growing up, you know, DW and I, we kind of live in a, what do we want to call this? Like a rednecky town. It's a little redneck. I mean,
you want to say ignorant?
Well, that's the point. You know, there's so many people that walking around the streets that just have the shitty, sloppy tattoos. There's no composition to it all.
You're talking about a jail tat?
And no, not even that. Just
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and I guess that's part of it. You know, part of what this art has become is that people really sort of work on the composition and decide how these gorgeous pieces of artwork are going to look on their body, and that I think is magnificent. But you know, the other reason the other thing that always stopped me was just, you know what, I can't decide on one thing that I'm going to want on my body for the rest of my life. And that coupled with the fact
that's a really you know, an important thing. I think that the fact that you haven't just gone on a whim means that when you do eventually get a tattoo, it's going to be something that you have thought about, you know, extensively, and you will make a good decision. If not even just on the subject matter, you'll make a good decision on the artist that you go to, because like you said, there's a lot of bad tattoos out there. But now the art is being pushed to the forefront in tattooing so much, and there's resources like the internet and Instagram, and you can seek out these amazing artists all over the world, that you can make a really informed decision now.
Definitely. And the other thing that always stopped me from getting a tattoo is I'm covered in 90% body hair. So maybe I'll get I'll get a tattoo of Chewbacca. To answer your previous question, DW, I'll get a tattoo of Chewbacca, so that it'll just look natural.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
You just have to shave the spot around his eyes, nose, and mouth.
That's right. Constantly shaving that little area. Good.
God, that's too funny. So Jesus Christ, now I can just imagine just a big face of Chewbacca on your back. Oh my God. Oh shit. Anyway, I don't want to know about the hair length or anything. Young Chewbacca. Now, Josh, you were internship or apprenticeship for a year. When did you stop that and you are working at the Funhouse? How many years have you been tattooing since then?
That was a good 12, 13 years ago. And since then, Funhouse in Tannersville, which is right in the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania, that has been my home base shop. So, you know, it's where, you know, I got my start, but it's also like my family. So even though I travel all over the world and I guest spot at shops all over, and Area 51 in Oregon is my my home away from home, Funhouse is still my home base. It's my echo base.
Nice,
and,
nice.
But yeah, so it's been about 13 years, and even just you know, like I said, as time goes on, I'm always forever a student and always, you know, trying new things. The portraits and the color realism and the stuff that I do now, that's something I did probably a little bit more in the last like 5 or 6 years, I'd say. Before that, you know, I've kind of done all the styles, you know, everything from the Japanese traditional to the old school American style to you know, I've done plenty of
old Navy tats, the tradition, you know, the classic
like
old pop, yeah, the anchor and the.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've done my fair share of those, but for me, those were, you know, as a tattoo artist, sometimes you're also just the facilitator of someone else's vision. You know, like someone's coming to me, they have this idea. It's not maybe something that I would wear on me or that I would draw in my spare time, but I've got to do that as you know, highest quality as I possibly can.
Sure.
And then now I have the opportunity now that I have a following and a fan base that comes to me for the stuff that I love to do, which is, you know, I would tattoo Chewbacca all day long on your back, man.
Thanks, man. That means a lot.
It might take all day.
Hey-o. Now,
a lot of razors.
What would be the best tattoo that you feel that you've done to date, and what would also be not particularly the worst tattoo that you've done as far as your talent and technique, but like what is the almost like worst idea of a tattoo that somebody's come to you with? And was there anything like that you just kind of like shook your head and you're just like, yeah, all right, I'll tattoo that on you?
It definitely has happened. You know, I'll start with some of the less not quality, but the less informed decisions people have made. A lot of that comes from probably the early years of tattooing for me, when you know, I had to pretty much do everything that walked in the door, and you know, I do my best to steer people in the right direction. So you know, any bad idea that somebody would present would always be returned with me, you know, kind of suggesting some other options, and maybe we can do this, and maybe that's not the best idea. And
I'll take that Taz with the barbells on number 44 off the flash sheet, please, on the wall.
How's this for a suggestion? How about you go home and talk to your parents about your issues instead of trying to defy them, you know?
The one, and I've told this story before, but it still sticks out in my mind, and I think it was probably the most ridiculous request, and kind of ridiculous that I went through with the tattoo, and I'm, you know, still a bit ashamed of myself for doing it. But it's I had a guy come in who literally he was trying to skirt around the issue. He wanted me to do this like this design of like, you know, a skull and a dagger, something really kind of you know, basic, but he wanted it. He kept asking me to redraw it simpler, make it simple, take the shading out. And I couldn't get what style he was going for until he kind of outright told me he wanted it to look like he had gotten it in jail. But he didn't.
Oh, ouch.
But he wanted it to have the appearance. So I guess maybe he could tell his friends that he got it in jail, and, you know,
he requested a jail tat.
Yeah, he really wanted I guess he might have actually done some time, but he didn't get a tattoo while he was in there, but he probably told everyone he did, so he needed that now. So I basically had to dumb down this design so much that it was horrendous. It was a horrible design, and it was only because I was kind of just, you know, just my arm was twisted into the point where this is what he wants, and I have to take, you know, I can't turn away the business, and I did it. And to this day, some guy's walking around with my version of a tattoo.
I think it would be great if he requested too, like, could you tattoo so it looks infected as well? You know, like put some bright red around it. And
oh my
God, yeah, just it was a bad day, and I hang my head in shame. But and then as far as like favorite tattoos, all my buddies always yell, like they always make fun of me. They tell me that it's a cop-out answer, but I truly believe that whatever like the last few pieces I've worked on are kind of my favorite, because I feel like I'm always, you know, striving to do better pieces, to make more dynamic images, to get better color saturation. So I'm always happiest with some of the last few pieces I did. Most recently, I just actually did do a Chewbacca very recently that I just was I loved. It's one of those pieces that I finished and I'm like, man, I wish this was on me.
Right? That's awesome, man.
And that's a good feeling when I can do a piece that like I would love to carry as well. Mm-hmm. But as far as a piece that has been around with me for a while as a top fave, It was a portrait I did of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it was an older one. It wasn't one I've done recently that had a little bit more of a spirit quality to it. It was an older one I did. And why it's one of my favorite is it opened so many doors for me. It was one of the most published tattoos that I have as far as tattoo magazines. It opened a lot of doors. It allowed me to meet a lot of my friends in the Star Wars community that led me to later tattoo at Star Wars celebrations and become a licensed Lucasfilms artist to work at these Star Wars celebrations. So because of that piece and the things that it kind of brought me, it's one of my favorites to this day.
That's awesome, man.
So you said you're licensed. What does that entail, Josh?
Well, that is sort of the medal of honor that is bestowed upon the tattoo artists that get the opportunity to work at Star Wars Celebration. And I still say it was, just the thought that there's a file in the Lucasfilms head office that have my name on it just makes me so incredibly happy.
That's awesome.
We basically, as artists working the celebration, got licensed the same way that their other traditional artists are. And there's only a few of us that have gotten the opportunity to do this. And I got to work at Celebration 6 and Celebration Europe 2, which was just in Germany. And it was just one of the top moments of tattooing for me was being at those cons and being surrounded by all things Star Wars, like you guys were speaking about earlier in the podcast. It's a mecca for Star Wars, and to be in there, to be tattooing at Celebration 6, after the whole audience had pretty much left for the day. It was like Friday evening. We were still hanging around and kind of closing up shop here at our booth. And lo and behold, Carrie Fisher is walking around and walking through our area. And Carrie Fisher stopped and looked through my tattoo portfolio. And it was just like, all right, I can go home. I can just pack up and never tattoo again.
That's awesome.
I'll never touch those portfolio pages ever again. That is so cool, man. That's so cool. Now, what was your first con tattooing experience, and how does that work? Do you guys just get a booth and say we're going to tattoo? How do you have to talk to the con? How does that work for you guys?
It's usually set up through the con because there's a lot of stuff that has to go down. A lot of the Comic-Con tattooing that I've done has been through the group Ink Fusion, which they will actually facilitate the tattoo pavilion at these conventions. So they'll handle all of the health board licensing, and they'll handle all of the sort of the nitty gritty of making sure that we have a clean, safe, and sterile environment to tattoo in. And then otherwise it works just like any other artist alley where we get to show up with our goods and tattoo the convention goers. Because there's also, as you probably know, there's also just straight tattoo conventions, which are just for tattooing. And I enjoy those, but there's something a little special about, doing a tattoo at a convention and having cosplayers around or tattooing somebody in costume is amazing.
That's cool. That is cool. Now you, we'll get into the TV show on A&E, Epic Inc. You just saw, you went to C2E2.
Yes.
How was that experience? It looked awesome on the show, but I want to know, like, how cool was that? I mean,
oh, that show is amazing. And we were talking about the quality of cons earlier, and I did want to mention that some of my favorite shows have been the Reed Pop shows, which is New York Comic Con, C2E2, Star Wars Celebration. They just put on a phenomenal show. So that C2E2 is just really, really cool show to work at. They really set up the tattoo pavilion really nicely as sort of its own entity. So we had a nice area to work in, and it was great. Some of the stuff you didn't see on the show, while I was doing a Ninja Turtle tattoo, we even had some guests in the form of cosplayers dressed as Rocksteady and Bebop stop by.
Oh, nice. That's really cool.
And that kind of adds to the whole experience. If not just for me, the artist, but for the client getting the tattoo. It's like, what better way to kind of celebrate the tattoo you're getting and the love of being, a uber fan than to be surrounded by all that. And so it's just a great experience. It's really cool to just see all the people that stop by and like the Carrie Fisher story. Eventually, you'll have a few celebrities kind of sneak by and sneak through the area. It's pretty rad.
No, that would be cool. We've done the same a little bit with the cons. We see, no matter if we're doing interviews or the podcast, whatever, I still geek out. I'm like, oh my God, that's this so-and-so. And I'm like, you got to stay calm and professional. You got to ask for an interview. And you're like, hello. I think that'll always be that way. I think you'll always get starstruck no matter. I mean, if it's somebody you really like if I got to talk to Humberto Ramos, I mean, I've seen him at the conventions. I've always wanted.
Followed him around.
I followed him around. I'm peeking around the other table. You know, I'm a creeping. But he's always been busy. For me to actually go up and talk to him, I'd just be I just, you know, it'd be very hard for me to concentrate. I'll be like, oh, I just love your work. Oh.
I'm such a fan. You know, for me,
I'm such a fan.
I've been around, you know, I've had the opportunity to be around a lot of different people that are involved in music and in film and things like that. It doesn't really get to me too much starstruck wise, but when somebody that I meet has a connection more to my childhood, you know, then it really just.
Okay. So if you saw Jim Lee, you'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah, I haven't met him yet. But I do have just a foot and mouth story. Was I got to meet Joe Q and Joe Quesada, and I, you know, loved his art as a kid, and I mean, and now he's such a big force at Marvel.
Yeah.
He was it was a C2E2 a couple years back, and it was, you know, after the show, it was at the hotel bar. Someone's like, "Oh, Joe Q's at the bar," and I was like, "Oh, this is my perfect opportunity to meet him in a more social setting and go say hi." Problem is, I had already had quite a bit of this tower of beer we've ordered, so I wasn't really you know, all that slick in my conversation. So I just went over and just started chewing his ear off, man, just talking nonsense. I don't even know what I was like trying to get across how much his art meant to me as a kid, you know, just trying to just give him props for everything, try to somehow sneak in there that, hey, I'm an artist too, like, just to, you know, and it came out so terribly wrong. And my friends from the other table watching me just make a fool of myself trying to talk to Joe Q. Him with this look of horror, like, I need to get away from this guy. And eventually he kind of just skirted away and went to talk to somebody else. And I went back to the table so embarrassed. I'm like, I can't believe I just did that. But the redeeming factor is in the morning, I actually on Twitter had tweeted like a funny comment, like, you know, finally met Joe Quesada, and I had mentioned him. You know, I totally made a fool of myself. Can't believe I did that, but at least I met him. And he actually tweeted me back and was like, "Hey man, it's all good. You know, it was flattering. Nice to meet you."
Nice. That's cool. Really cool. Yeah, nice. That's better than Joe's story. He accosted him out of the bathroom at New York City Comic Con.
Tackled him to the ground.
Can I have a picture with you? His hands are still wet, Joe. What are you doing?
Josh, incidentally, sidebar, have you seen Joe Quesada's variant cover for the new Star Wars #1 that Marvel is going to be publishing next year?
Yes,
it looks
beautiful.
Sweet.
Looks gorgeous.
Sweet.
And it's a thing of beauty, and I didn't expect it. Like I you know, that with all the Star Wars stuff coming out, that's just not a name that you've heard attached to any art right now, and that just it blew me away.
Yep.
J. Scott Campbell's doing one too. I just saw a sketch one that he's doing for a variant cover as well. Very cool choices, and Quesada I would have never even thought of.
Right.
I would have never even thought of Quesada.
Well, Quesada loves to do the variant covers.
Yes.
Now the variant cover, you know, I feel like I'm kind of new to the variant cover game, and I feel like sometimes there's almost an exorbitant amount of variant covers. Is that kind of happening now?
Yeah, that's a fair assumption. It's grabbing your money. It's grab your money. I mean, anything variant covers from $5 up to $125. They're based on how many comic books a shop may order, 1 out of 100, 1 out of 500 to get the variant in the cost. But yeah, variants Midtown. I think at least every week there is a book that has 5 variants.
Wow.
For at least one book every week has a variant, 5 variants. And then Midtown Comics will have their own Midtown comic variant, which is usually J. Scott Campbell.
Yep. He usually
who runs their variant covers. So you've been, this is so cool. You're tattooing, obviously you do the tattoo conventions, you're a big comic book nerd and geek. You're doing all the conventions, C2E2, working at the Funhouse. How did you get picked or get involved with Epic Inc.?
Oh man, you know, it was really just a complete dream come true as far as, you know, being able to put out in a program the stuff that I love to tattoo, and B, do it with my friends. Everybody that is part of Epic Inc. And part of the Area 51 extended family, we're all sort of just, brothers from other mothers that came together through the convention scene and through our love of these images and just of being super nerds. I mean, the tattoo industry is a huge industry. There's lots of artists, thousands of artists. And just like-minded individuals come together, and these are the people that I love to travel around the world with. We've been all over the place, to Europe, to South America. We've been everywhere. And so to get together at Chris 51's shop, Area 51 in Springfield, home of the Simpsons, Oregon, it was just like the perfect merger. And then to get the opportunity to show the world that there's a different side to tattoo shops and to tattoos in general. We didn't invent pop culture tattoos, that they've been around, but I don't think people quite knew that this was possible. And I just feel lucky to be surrounded by such talented artists, so that every piece that we're putting out there is just top notch, beautiful work. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so proud to be a part of them. And so it's like, I feel like we've seen so much of the other side, the aggressive fighting, infighting, and sort of drama filled.
Talking about the other Inc. shows,
right? And yeah. I think it was it was high time that we got to show the world that, hey, a lot of us do get along, and we actually have a lot of fun doing it, and we're goofy, don't take ourselves seriously type people, and we just have a lot of fun with the art. And I think that tattooing and tattoo should be fun. Like we said, it's addicting because it's a passion that we have. It's something that we love, and why not kind of showcase that with a whole bunch of laughs?
Oh, it shows on every episode how much fun you guys have at the shop. What I found interesting is in Pods Past, we've kind of coined the phrase since January, the geek renaissance of just the pop culture explosion with the movies, the cartoons, now obviously more comic books, more TV shows. This show, Epic Inc., just is the validation of the fact of the geek renaissance. It's not just a tattoo show. It's a pop culture tattoo show where all you guys do are the pop culture, the comics, the Star Wars, the action movie, the icons that make up pop culture now. That, I think, is even a bigger testament to the show. It's a validation. Here it is. We are in the geek renaissance. Here it is right now.
Oh yeah, and I've heard it coined a lot of times, and I said it earlier that pop culture is culture. It's part of everybody's life, and and I think it transcends so many generations now that you have. And I think even stuff that we do on Epic Inc., it's not like it's only going to be understood by, the teenagers of today. It's, we're talking Goonies, we're talking Star Wars, we're talking, we're talking things that everybody loves, that transcends generations. And it's just a part of our culture. And as far as tattooing, like I said, we're not the inventors of, we're not the first person to say, hey, you know what? I want to put a Darth Vader on my skin. It's been around, but now it's really in the forefront, and it's so much more accepted now that, people that wouldn't maybe consider themselves, quote unquote tattoo people are now very comfortable going into a shop like Area 51 or Funhouse where I'm at. They can come in and feel comfortable in that their idea is going to be treated with the same amount of respect.
Oh, I totally understand. And I would assume there's a explosion of people coming into the shop, but maybe even before Epic Inc. So pretty much like when you started until now, let's say within the last year or so, have you seen at the Funhouse a huge explosion of people saying, hey, I want the Flash. Hey, I want Batman. Hey, have you seen that effect in the shop itself?
Oh yeah, I definitely saw that, and yeah, it's way more than just being a recent thing. But it's a slow sort of build. For me personally, I feel like once I started putting my work out there that was pop culture oriented, of course that then people start gravitating towards it. But I feel just in general that you definitely had your Star Wars tattoos been around for a while. You got a few sort of novelty pop culture tattoos, but I feel like the last maybe 8 to 10 years. It's been this steady incline of people really expressing themselves and their love of these characters. And on top of that is artists pushing the boundaries of the craft itself to really showcase like a quality version of these images, as opposed to, you know, your jailhouse, you know, Darth Vader with, missing all the proper details that it needs to be correct.
Just the outline with squiggly lines, Darth Vader spelled with a D backwards. Yeah.
Now, can you tell me what would be the most obscure pop culture tattoo that you've done? I mean, has anybody come in and say, I want you to tattoo, you know, Wedge Antilles on my arm?
Well, I'll tell you, as a Star Wars fan, and again, more than a fan, it's just something that's a part of my essence.
Yeah.
No character is too obscure for me when it comes to Star Wars. I'm cool with all of it. In fact, some of my favorite stuff that I've gotten to do are characters from the EU that aren't going to be easily recognized. Stuff like Darth Bane or Darth Malgus, or you know, just weird creatures that are, you know, more from the novels or comics. Things like that I think are a little bit more obscure, but I mean, the Star Wars fans are going to know who they are.
Right.
You know, I think sometimes you know, I'll get a request for something a little bit more particular, like a 80s cartoon or something that maybe I hadn't quite watched, you know. But you know, if somebody wants a Silverhawks tattoo, man, I'm all about it.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool.
I'll let you put a copper kid on me right next to Grand Admiral Thrawn and Jorah Saboth. How's that sound, man?
Perfect. Sounds like a masterpiece. The funny thing is, people ask like yourself a lot, or like, what are some like outrageous or off the wall characters? And it's like, to me, I'm a fan, and I don't find them all that outrageous, because they're just, you know, another character that we love.
Right. And I guess maybe would it be fair to say too, it might actually break up, and I don't want to say the monotony, but if you are doing, you know, a dozen Darth Vader tattoos in a week or a month or however long of a span, you know, maybe it helps just break up the monotony of something like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, as an artist, you know, I'm always trying to find new ways to approach a design. So yeah, when Darth Vader comes in, you know, I'm not going to reuse the exact same image again. I'm always going to try to find a new interesting angle, or maybe I'll do a custom photo shoot with one of my sideshow statues, or you know, and try for something new and original. But yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't want to do a Darth Vader every single day.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be unhappy to do that.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
But you know, it's definitely, as an artist, I always want to push myself to something new, and I don't like to get into too many of the same kind of ruts. So it's like, you know, to expand into all new characters. Star Wars is an infinite possibility of characters. So of course I'll do that all day long, especially with the new movies coming out. I can only imagine what amazing characters I'm going to get to tattoo, you know, in the upcoming year.
Definitely.
Well, before we get into this week's news, comics, and movies, and Josh, please interject as we go on. I got to know, Jedi or Sith? What side you going to take, Josh?
Whew, that's a tough one. I've been told that I'm more of an Obi-Wan, so I'm going to have to go Jedi.
Okay, very cool. Very nice. What color lightsaber?
You know what? I have a thing for the color blue, so I would always go with the blue saber.
There you go. Very cool. Awesome.
Much like Obi-Wan Kenobi.
There you go.
That being said, I'm also a big fan of all the troopers. So I guess I'm more like Republic Commando while they're still good.
There you go. There you go. I am a big collector of the troopers. That's pretty much all we have here in the studio, is just a bunch of stormtroopers everywhere. The Scout Trooper. What just came out last week, Joe? Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? The 1/6 scale?
Well, several weeks ago, the Star Wars 6-inch Black Series speeder bike with Scout Trooper.
That I gotta get.
You gotta get one of those, buddy.
I still have the original. I still have
vintage with the box.
I have the vintage with box. So yeah, I love the Scout Troopers. So you are gonna be the Obi-Wan type. All right, Josh, that's good. I think I might. I don't know. You know what? Now that I just asked somebody else that question, I should probably. What would you go? Would you go Jedi?
I think I would be Jedi, but unfortunately, I know myself well enough. I'd probably fall to the I'd fall to the dark side.
I think I would go. I'd go Sith.
Yeah, you just start out Sith.
Yeah, because I want the dual lightsaber. Not that Jedis don't have that, but Darth Maul for me, I thought once the movies came out, I thought that was a really cool visual. The character was really cool. Obviously in the animated series, it was extended his role, which I thought was very cool. Just something unique, and that was what really brought me over to the dark side. I mean, this is pretty cool, even though he's gonna get killed. But
I got to tell you guys a quick Darth Maul story. So Star Wars Celebration 1, Indianapolis, you got an exclusive t-shirt there with this image of Darth Maul and Anakin on the front. And I'm wearing that shirt to go in to see episode 1 back in 99. And as I'm walking in, this lady and like her husband and her kid are walking out. She looks at my shirt. She points to me and she says, he gets cut in half at the end.
Oh, shit.
And I almost beat a woman in the parking lot of the mall.
This really happened?
Yeah. I was like, you effing yeah, man.
What a bitch.
I know. Like, what a horrible thing to do to someone.
You're going to say, what a whore.
Man, I hope you get diarrhea for a week, ma'am.
You're right, though. What a fantastic character, though. I mean, that he's like the most redeeming quality of episode 1 is how well designed and how well choreographed that character is.
Oh my God. Yeah. Visually, just the tattoos, and I'm assuming they're tattoos or branding of his face.
His face tattoos, yeah.
Just visually awesome.
Yeah.
And coming out with the episode 1, they needed something, that little wow factor to really be like, oh shit.
Like honestly, the lightsaber duel at the end was pretty much the redeeming part of episode 1. In my opinion,
I agree. Like Josh was saying, the choreographing, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, it was more of a dance than your traditional. I mean, if you go back and watch A New Hope, I mean the Darth Vader Obi-Wan fight scene is kind of atrocious. They're they're kind of just shuffling around,
and swatting at each other.
Yeah, pretty much. Leading into that, with this news, if you go over to fanboysinc.com or actually facebook.com/fanboysinc, I put out an article yesterday. England is now starting Jedi Academy, and you can train as a Jedi. They have plastic lightsabers with weighted hilts, and they train you, and there's different levels. Obviously, you have, let's say you have the New Hope, which is level 1, and you can go up to the advanced level where you start doing acrobatics and flipping, and it's catching on. I believe there's 2 or 3 in England right now, and they want to branch out and do this. I think this is really cool. Could we see like the jazzercise videos pretty soon, exercising with the lightsabers?
Right?
I mean, I thought that was really cool. And could we see instead of fencing, we're going to see, lightsaber duels in the Olympics? Now that would be cool. But I think that's really cool. And once again, another validation of, our culture.
Right.
And now,
well, I don't think we touched on this last week, but didn't I read somewhere what the down in Baltimore, there is like Marvel Cinema is now being taught college level courses.
Yes.
Discussing the correlation between real world and the movies and whatnot. So,
so that's what college course is
everywhere.
I think when I saw that news, I think it was, it had a lot of those, clickbait type headlines like "You won't believe what's being taught." And it was a little bit sensational, but it makes perfect sense that in a film course, there's nothing better to discuss than one of the highest grossing cinematic worlds right now.
Oh, by far.
I think it's a really important thing. I think if you were a film major and you didn't know about it, you'd be missing out.
Yeah,
you probably wouldn't get a job. I mean, let's be honest. If you're not thinking about doing your own superhero movie or producing something in the next 10 years, I don't know if you'd get a job. But yeah, I'm excited about the Academy. I wish that we see one in the States. There's not one in the States yet.
So I guess it's up to us.
All right, we're gonna do it. I
Sweet.
don't know. I don't know.
I have my big pen. Let's start here.
Yeah, let's see. Okay.
Jabbing at you.
Also, what else we got in the movie news? Oh, as I said in the intro, if you're just joining us, we are here with Josh Bodwell from A&E's Epic Inc. And we're going over some movie news. Avengers 3 pulling the
Twilight, Harry Potter, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings.
pulling the splitting in 2.
Yeah.
Premise being, which kind of leads us into the latest episode of Marvel's Avengers Assemble. End of last year was the last episode of the last season was showing Thanos with the Tesseract. Going into this season, we're seeing possibly that we're getting hints of what's going to be happening in the big screen, which I kind of speculated a while back. I know that you might have thought that maybe I was wrong. I'm not really sure. We agreed to disagree, where we started seeing the Collector show up months before he was in the movies. Ultron, hinting to Ultron before the movies. I'm wondering really if we should start really closely looking at the animated universe now, because it seems to me that they are putting in little hints to lead up to the big screen, which is not bad idea. That's pretty genius marketing if that's truly the case. I mean, there are some obscure characters, but it can't be just coincidence now that all of a sudden we're seeing them in the big screen.
It's just to get these characters in the public consciousness.
And it's cool to see them months before. So, you know, we put out an article 2 days ago over on fanboysinc.com about Mucka, you know, his speculations of what's going to happen in Avengers 3 and who's actually the creator. Speculation is Howard Stark is the one who created Ultron, not Tony, through Arsenal, which was a peacekeeping software program, which has also been in the comics, which is hinted in this cartoon, in this episode.
Interesting.
You know, bringing in the character without having to say, hey, this is a new idea that Tony had.
Yes, exactly. Working off Howard Stark, working off his father's Arsenal program. I'm wondering if it's subconsciously that he decided to even like use Jarvis or use the AI, and it really came from his father. I think that, I mean, I'm not familiar 100% with the Arsenal software program, but I believe it was back right around with the Holland Commandos, and they're using it through Agent Carter. So I could really, that could be the fact that it was Howard Stark that just kind of got the ball rolling.
Yeah, and didn't we also recently see that the guy who played Howard Stark in Captain America, he's going to be in Agent Carter TV show?
Yes. There's a hot scale in this now. That's the whole thing. Who's hotter, the dad or the son, between Robert Downey or and Tony Stark or Howard Stark?
Who do you think?
Excuse me? You're asking Josh, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that Robert, he's so dreamy.
McDreamy, that's right. Iron Dreamy.
I loved him in Weird Science.
Yes. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Are we going to see, the other speculation is Avengers 3, Avengers get their ass kicked. Avengers,
is that the official title?
Yeah, yes, Avengers get their ass kicked. Avengers kicked. Avengers 4, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers team up, kick Thanos' ass. I think that'd
be cool.
I think that's going to be what we see. I really think that's what it's going to happen.
I'm on board.
They're going to pull the Rocky routine, you know, where he gets his ass beat by Mr. T and then comes back and kicks his ass in the second half.
Now, here's my question, though, is they're talking about splitting the Avengers movie into 2 parts. Now, since, you know, in previous cases, the Twilight book, the Harry Potter book, the Hobbit book, they're actually taking novels and splitting them up. And obviously, I'm going to assume that Marvel is not going to go pretty much verbatim of any particular Marvel storyline. So do we really need one Marvel movie split into? I mean, wouldn't that just be Marvel, you know, Avengers 3 and then Avengers 4 instead of Avengers like 3.1 and then Avengers 3.2?
You think it's going to be a 3-point or is it going to be 3-4?
No, but my point is why do we have
it's
to
probably
say
be...
we're splitting a movie in half?
Well, it may be
I
like...
get that you can make a sequel to a movie.
Well, I think it's going to be like the Lord of the Rings. It's Lord of the Rings subtitle. You know, say the tagline underneath it. It could be Age of Avengers, Age of Ultron, you know, Avengers ass kicked or something. But there's going to be, it's going to be the same main title with a tagline. It's not going to say part 2 or Avengers 4. You know, it's not going to say that. I think they're going to have a tagline to it to lead us into it.
Yeah,
I think it's more like a clever way of them just basically announcing that, hey, this story arc that we're going to do just happens to be too big for one movie.
Sure.
And so, in case you didn't know, we're going to have 4 of them.
And you lead right into my next question, Josh. Civil War, Infinity Gauntlet. We've speculated all this kind of stuff before.
Screw the Civil War.
We can't do it anyway.
I'm not interested.
But that doesn't mean I agree with you, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't do it, because even though they don't have the rights to the X-Men, they don't have rights to Spider-Man, doesn't mean that they can't fuck it up and do their version of it.
Yeah, but
I think that they can definitely not have to have the X-Men inclusion into it, and I feel like it's not going to be a major plot point. My theory is that it's basically the setup of, you know, what's going to add some turmoil in the group before they have to get their shit together and band together to fight the bigger evil.
Right.
I agree. I think we might see more of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. I think, especially with Thanos, Guardians of the Galaxy. Putting 2 teams together. Once again, Marvel does it again. 2 teams on one screen. So that's really cool. DC, this is like a kick in the balls. here you go. We're gonna up you again. You think B versus BVS is gonna do great? Well, we're just gonna knock it up one more notch for you and kick you guys down a rung or two. I really think BVS is gonna be great. I'm still hearing rumors of Affleck. He's not gonna be good. We got some screen images and some test footage up on the website we put up yesterday. I like it. I think he's gonna be great. Get off the Daredevil kick. It was over 12 years ago. You can't yell at him for bad writing.
It's not his fault. Come on now, leave him alone.
Yeah, exactly. And we just noticed too, in more movie news, we are going to see that BVS is going to be more towards the Dark Knight version of this movie, where Superman is going to be treated as the villain of this movie. And you leading up to, and we saw the leaked teaser from San Diego Comic-Con. There's going to be a duel. I really believe that there can't be not one punch thrown. Everybody's asking for this. There has to be.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna go darker, and Superman is definitely gonna be the villain. Obviously, with Lex Luthor coming in, and we're assuming that he's probably bidding to help rebuild Metropolis. Of course, he's gonna, illegal alien, alien type thing. And
right.
So I really love that approach. My concern is, what are they gonna do? You have the beginning. They're all fighting like Justice League War, which I feel it's going to be based on Jeff Johns' Justice League War first 6 issues, and Dark Knight together, where they're all meeting, minus the Green Lantern. We know that Aquaman does play a part, a very small part. It's hinted that he is following Superman's travels and actions, but he's obviously underwater, but he's monitoring everything that's going on. So he's also taking steps to protect himself and Atlantis from Superman. Kind of similar what's going on in Justice League War. What happens in Act 3, where they all group together and now everybody loves Superman? This is where I don't know how they're going to make that transition. Is it Batman's finally said, I just kicked your ass. Now you're going to come join us and do as we say, kind of thing.
Superman will prove through his actions of being a good, moral, upstanding person that he is fighting for the side of good. That's always how it goes.
Really? Did it go? It didn't go that way in MOS. He showed how good he could destroy entire cities and people and not give a crap.
I think that's it though. Having him as a villain, at least in the first half of the film, answers some of my problems and questions with Man of Steel was that he never explains to anybody on Earth that he's a good guy. He just breaks stuff. That's the only perspective anybody has of this alien, is that he came to Earth and he broke everything.
Yeah, I'm destroying your city to save the world. Yeah. That sounds good on paper maybe, but that doesn't work out so well.
But you know what I mean? Even in the movie, like, Superman doesn't have like a PR firm that's letting people know that he's there to fight for them.
Right.
He's just there as this other alien, and these 2 aliens are breaking everything.
Right.
And they never explain it. I mean, a few people in the military know, but as we all know, in the real world, no one would know that.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that him being the villain solves some of those issues. And I think I'd like to believe that it was all planned from the start, that was where we were going with it, because, that was my only problem with Man of Steel, was that, like, he never does these good deeds. He doesn't, save some cats out of the tree, and he doesn't, pull some, he does save a school bus, but not publicly as Superman.
Yeah,
right.
So nobody really knows what he's about. So I think that makes a perfect sense. And who better to fight him than Batman in a super mech suit?
Yeah, I think that's awesome. You saw the San Diego leaked teaser?
Yes.
I don't care. I mean, you didn't see a lot, but man, you saw so much.
Well, you didn't see a lot, so awesome. But you saw enough.
Oh, it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
We will see Superman win everybody's hearts by saving the dog or the cat out of the tree.
Yeah, that's right.
I will not be surprised if you actually see a scene of that. Just floating down, grab the cat, give it to the 5-year-old girl, and just fly away. I would not be shocked at all by that. But it's awesome. I'm they moved the date up, which is really cool. Everybody thought they, like we said, we were kind of playing chicken with each other, see who's going to break first on that May 4th release date. I think it was smart for them. They're getting a jump, and they're giving us an extended con season. They're giving us an extended action movie season right off the bat, starting in March. So I think that's going to be really cool. I'm excited for it. I mean, I'm excited just for about everything. I mean, well, I don't know. We'll see. I am by the time 2016, I'm sure we'll still be doing this podcast. Maybe then I might be burnt out. I mean, we've talked about it. What, 4 movies a year coming out through Marvel and Disney.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough to see and see if the general public will accept that. We're going to get into TV news, and we're going to shoot right over to you, sir, for some toy news.
Sweet.
Second week of Gotham.
Did you watch it?
I only watched a little bit of it just because we were getting ready for Comic-Con, so I'm doing a lot of banners and designing and printing and stuff. But yes, I'm enjoying it. It's not getting bad Shield hate that everybody gave Shield in the beginning.
Yeah.
They're teeter-totter, and the hardcore fans I'm seeing on the lines are kind of upset because they're all young, and it's like, you know, the tween versions of Catwoman's so young, and some of the harder, you know, the lesser hardcore fans are kind of concerned because it seems too fluffy, too flashy. They're throwing in too many hints. There was a Killer Croc reference in this one. I'm enjoying it. I still think it's like an NCIS meets Gotham. It's superheroes. I like it. The actor who plays James Gordon, I forgot his name, Mackenzie. A little stiff still for me, but I enjoy it. I think I treat it as an Elseworld. It's not a canon, you know, it's not a book in canon. I treat it as an Elseworld. There's been so many variations of what's going on, as we talked about with Joe St. Pierre. How cool would it be if that really was the Joker on the stage? I mean, that was just so cool to think that, wow, he's barely surviving and she's barely laughing at his jokes, and it's got to drive him insane. You know, just as an actor or performer.
Right. And
if that's true, that would be really cool. We don't know exactly how the Joker was born. There's been many variations on it. So once again, I don't look at it as this is the tell-all story. This is, you know, I consider it an Elseworld story, and I'm enjoying the ride.
I personally like the Killing Joke as my definitive origin of the Joker. Personally, Josh, did you watch Gotham, bud?
I haven't watched Gotham yet. I've got it DVR'd. I want to binge watch a few episodes, but I have been following the feedback. I've been, you know, just kind of reading everything online. And we were saying before that some of the you know, if there is hate, it's coming from people saying there's like too much reference. I feel like you're never going to win, because if there wasn't enough reference, people would be like, where's all the references? You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's same with Shield. People, me for myself, if I had to see another Thor reference, I get it. It's marketing, but Jesus Christ, the whole first season was based around, okay, enough. Give us some other stuff. You want superheroes in costumes. I want cool villains. Okay, we got Absorbing Man. The acting still didn't get any better. I guess I'm still on the fence.
And not to jump shows, but in that, you know, where I'm okay with alternate versions, but I just want to be treated to a quality story and not to like patronize a bit. So I think the Flash actually looks really promising, because we already know from the trailer he has a suit.
Yeah,
he runs really fast. Like it's not like it's going to take a Smallville, you know, decade to get to any of that.
Yeah, yeah.
I can tell you, I will not spoil it. I have seen the pilot. I loved it. I know Will Robson said he didn't like it. We watched it a couple of weeks, about a month and a half ago. That and Constantine. I thought it was great. It's light. It's fun. It's the exact opposite of Arrow, which is in the same universe. So I think it's perfect that there's going to be crossover of actors in the shows, which brings that network even closer together. I love the dark side, and I love the light side of the Flash. The suit looks amazing. The way they premise him, we got the hints. This has nothing to do with the show or spoilers of the show. We have heard that it is going to be Professor Zoom is going to be in it. That is cool. That is, I think, is really cool. There's hints of Grog as well being in there through some of the teaser commercials and stuff. So using that, I think it's going to be a fun ride. And, you know, everybody complains about the acting. And once again, I try to tell them, you walk into it what you expect. It's the CW. It is going to be tweeny. That's the point. They were so successful with 10 seasons of Smallville. Every 3 episodes are hardcore, kind of serious. And then we're going to throw, oh my God, Trouble at the Prom. It's your tween show. Right. They're trying to cover both aspects, you know, their entire market. So I'm enjoying it. If you go in thinking that you're going to get exactly what you're reading out of a comic, it's never going to happen. And I mean, I'd love it. You'd love it. I'm sure Josh would love it to get that exact story panel for panel. That would be awesome. That's not going to happen.
No, and hey, and let's face it, it's still going to be a lot better than the original Flash series with the foam muscles.
Come on, Joe, love that.
I
Joe,
love that costume,
Oh,
but I love the fact that he's going to be in it.
Yeah, he's going to be in it. Yeah.
And what didn't I read too? Like one of the female characters is going to be in the new show as well.
Yes,
so that's great.
Yep.
And are we? Let's bring Mark Hamill back into the new Flash as well, because he played a villain in the old school.
He did. Well, he's got a beard now. You've seen him? He's got a contractual beard. So I think he's gonna. Yeah,
he's doing the Obi-Wan role.
I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna do the Obi-Wan role. So I
wizened and.
So now, Josh, you're gonna have to start tattooing Luke Skywalker with a beard. Can you do that?
Oh, I love it. I would if somebody would be okay with me, doing a non-film version. There's enough reference of him right now. I'll do it right now.
Nice.
You know what would be great is if people start coming in, you tattooed a Luke Skywalker from like Return of the Jedi. Yeah, like do me a favor, just add a beard to this.
Yeah, right. Age him.
Yeah,
that would be so cool.
There was actually some really beautiful fan art. I don't know if the one that I'm referencing looked a lot like a Drew Struzan poster, but it had everybody aged. Did you see that one that came out?
No, man.
Oh, it was a fan art for the new movie, and they just captured the Struzan look of special edition posters, but everybody just looking what they look like now. It was pretty amazing.
That sounds awesome. I'm gonna have to look that up online, man.
Now let's get into before we get into some more with Josh and then our picks. We got some toy news. We got any Star Wars toy news?
A little bit of Star Wars toy news. We talked last week that some of the Star Wars Rebels for the upcoming animated series have been hitting the stores. I've seen a little bit, but not. Like I have not been seeing figures and vehicles to the effect that I've been reading online that they've been hitting stores. But I will say Kmart has been getting some vehicle 2-packs. A couple years ago, I think the first year we did Fanboys Inc., that first Christmas, Toys R Us had a Black Friday special. It was like 2 vehicles for like $25. But I hear that they have been, I don't know, they found some big warehouse stash. So Kmart has been getting vehicle 2-packs from around the $15 price point, which is a freaking steal. We've seen some upcoming photos of the Star Wars 6-inch Black Series TIE Fighter pilot Yoda and Clone Trooper Sergeant, which is pretty nice. Slave Leia, Han Solo, Greedo are been peg warming the aisles. More prototype white armored Boba Fett's are coming to Walgreens, I believe in November. Not ours, not yet, but hopefully coming in November. If you had any problems finding this action figure, check it out. November, December, holiday season. Think holiday season, listeners. So hopefully around there you'll be able to pick up your white proto Fets. Let's see what else. I have a little more Star Wars. Clone Wars Legacy continues. StarWars.com. Head on over there, man. It's awesome. It's Dave Filoni who's pretty much in charge of the Clone Wars. The stories are continuing through comics. There's actually a Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir miniseries that Dark Horse published, which was a continuation of a lost storyline from the Clone Wars animated series. So it kind of wraps up, Darth Maul coming back to life and what happened to him after the animated series ended. Trade paperback actually is available today, so head to your comic book shops across the nation and you'll be able to pick that up. Novelization, Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Voss are going to be getting a novel which pits the two of them together in summer of 2015. But here's the big one for me. You know how much I am a Clone Wars junkie. It broke my heart when the show ended.
Please tell us.
Yeah, right. It broke my heart when the show ended. Here's something even more magical. Netflix had an exclusive 6th season, which is fantastic. But then most recently, StarWars.com puts out a story reel, like a 3-episode story that got
lost.
Like
in Lost episode?
No, like rough animation. They never completed the animation, but they did all the sound effects.
A storyboard.
No, not a storyboard. I mean, it was it's animated. It's not just still imagery.
Is it the sketch work?
It's actually animated.
Okay.
It's think rough animatics.
Okay.
But it's all the voice acting is there, all the characters. I mean,
like a test reel kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. But we're getting like a full story, like a full 3 more episodes. And I love it too because they introduce into the animated series the Yamani. These characters, the Animan, they were first shown in Return of the Jedi. It's this tall, gangly, yellow and green looking alien. I had his action figure. He was part of the 1984-1985 Counter Power of the Force line. He's one of the last action figures made, and he's actually pretty rare and one of the more sought after figures these days as far as the vintage goes. So I was always hoping to see these guys in animated form. They didn't get made, and so it's kind of nice. I don't get to see the finished product, but it's nice even to see them in rough form. So man, it's so cool that we're still just getting more Clone Wars stuff. Keep it coming, keep it coming, keep it coming. That's what I say about that. And man, not much else. Just like
I'm really pissed about the our local store.
Our local Walgreens.
I want a fucking goddamn white Boba Fett.
I just said that.
I know.
The more in November. Think holiday season.
Come on, we still haven't even seen the Venom yet.
You know, I know. We're gonna be well, actually, I think I heard somewhere online. If you go to Walgreens.com, the Venom Marvel Legend figure is available for like $14.95. Which is
problem is I like the hunt. I mean, it's great. You can buy. It's great. You can get it online and wait for it to go open the box. But actually going to the store, there's something to be said about that.
Oh, no, I agree.
You're like 4 or 5 times a week, aren't you?
Nah, not so much anymore.
Oh yeah, you got a mortgage payment now.
Well, that's it. Now, Josh, what about you? What do you make often? Toy runs often?
Well, you know what? I used to, man. I was a Walmart, unpacking at 4 a.m. guy. You know, I'd be waiting there stalking the employees to open the boxes.
Joe does that now.
And I got out of the figure game and got into the statue game, and so now I'm pretty much a sideshow collectibles Gentle Giant statue collector. So the hunt really isn't there now. It's more of like just being having my finger on the pulse of everything being pre-ordered and released, and just being able to snag it before it comes out. But you know what? I still sort of reminisce about the hunt, and I'll sometimes just kind of stroll the toy aisles and just even though I'm not going to purchase them, just kind of look for all the rare ones. It's fun. I mean, that is probably one of the more enjoyable parts about, like you said, you can go to Walgreens.com. That's great. But isn't it kind of fun to stumble across it or to seek it out? You know,
I can see Josh walking down an aisle at 2 a.m. at Walmart with the sad Hulk music playing as he's reminiscing, buying toys. Now, Josh, do you buy anything besides Star Wars? Do you buy any of the Marvel statues, or do you have a favorite Marvel character now that you'd love to get?
You know what? I've just to really curb my collecting and keep it manageable and keep it kind of contained to one area of my house, I pretty much stick to Star Wars. I have a pretty formidable collection of statues and prop replicas and sabers and all that. But the sideshow stuff that they come out with for Marvel is just amazing. Some of the premium formats they have of Wolverine, I kind of need it in my life, but I don't know where I would put it, and it wouldn't make sense for him to be hanging out with Boba and Chewie.
Well, they are owned by the same company. You never know. We might see that crossover.
Yeah, exactly.
It may happen. And actually, when you were talking about some toy news, some of the, I don't know if you had mentioned it previously, but it's a new pre-order release from Sideshow. They're 6-scale figures. They have a Han Solo and Chewie set now.
Oh yeah.
For the 6-scale, and while I'm not crazy about the sculpt of Han's face, he doesn't really have a Harrison Ford look to me. It's a beautiful sculpt, just not quite realistic to Harrison Ford. The Chewie is phenomenal. He's actually covered in fur. It's a posable 6-scale figure. It was completely furry and all cloth, soft good elements.
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
Nice, very nice. Nice addition to our toy news. Thanks, brother.
I still want this. I still got to get that Scouter bike.
Oh, the speeder bike?
Yeah, I got to get that.
Scout Trooper?
Yeah.
Well, they're still hitting the stores.
I know. Now, it sucks that they're separating where you can buy. Isn't that the one where you can buy the bike and then buy the figure? It's not compact. Isn't there one, though, that's separate?
Nope.
I thought there was one. Was it a Sideshow or something? I thought it was something that was separate.
Possibly Sideshow. I don't know. To be honest, I don't follow the Sideshow stuff too much just because it's so expensive, and I think I'd be tempted too much. So I try and steer clear of that. But no, the speeder bike and Scout Trooper, those are
all together. Awesome. I can't wait. Like, I need more Scouter bikes and stuff. I'm gonna need a new house.
Everybody always needs more speeder bikes.
Well, then I'm moving in with you. Well, crap, I can't. You got less space than I do at this point.
I don't even have enough room to display my stuff.
I'm gonna have to put them in my giant R2D2. Which, there you go. Yes, I'll send that to you, Josh. You can have my. We have the what is it, about 4 feet tall? What is it? The limited edition Star Wars Episode 1
brisk cooler.
The brisk R2D2 cooler.
Oh right, there was a Pepsi one and there was a brisk one, right?
Yes, yeah. We have the brisk one here at the headquarters. Slightly used, not bad though.
No, it's good.
We'll good to have around.
Yeah, it is. Great for parties, birthdays. Anybody wants to buy it, please email us at fanboysinc@gmail.com. No, new comics.
Yeah.
What do you got?
New comic, and this is going to be my pick for the week as well. Guardians 3000, issue number 1, coming out today. The original Defenders of the Galaxy.
Finally, you get your original crew.
I'm a big fan of the classic Guardians of the Galaxy team. I grew up reading comics in 1990, so I was right there when Jim Valentino's book was coming out. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And so, man, I just had to break down and pick up this issue. This is the classic team. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but we'll let you know next week or next couple of weeks what I think about it. So if you're out in the comic stores today, pick up Guardians 3000 #1. Actually, you know what? Pick up that Darth Maul Son of Dathomir trade paperback as well. One of the last Star Wars comics from Dark Horse.
Now, our local shop's got some good Star Wars trades too, don't they? Got some good stuff there. Yeah, that's at the Comic Depot, just inside Saratoga Springs at 514 Broadway to meet all your fanboy needs. And go talk to our buddy, the Pusher, Mr. Chris Kaminsky. You might even be broadcasting the podcast live in the store right now. But go check them out in downtown Saratoga Springs. The guys are awesome. Our home away from home, our satellite headquarters. I did not get to go down just because New York City has been busy for me, just doing all the banners. But I know I'll be picking up Green Lantern 35. I'm loving that series as well. I dropped a lot of the other cores. They just weren't doing it after the whole change of art and writing after Jeff Johns left. I'd love to see Johns come back. He's been so busy with stuff. I mean, he wrote the Flash pilot for CW. He's doing a bunch of stuff. So we also in Green Lantern news, Green Lantern's going to be back on the big screen, possibly.
Really?
Now, yeah, rumor has it that they're possibly bringing that back. Now with Ryan Reynolds being pushed for Deadpool, how does that work? That's going to be interesting to see what happens. I would rather see a Jon Stewart or a different Hal. I just, didn't do it for me for Ryan Reynolds in the Green Lantern.
I agree.
Also, to kind of sidetrack back to movie news, we now know that some new featured X-Men will show up in X-Men Apocalypse. Psylocke is going to be featured. She was written in Days of Future Past, but her part wasn't big enough, and so they pulled it, and now she's going to be a featured character in the movie. Cable was also written in Days of Future Past. I'd love to see that. Then expand on that movie, pull away from the X-Men, start doing X-Force or featuring Cable and his crew. I think that'd be really cool to see. It's going to be weird because I believe Cable does not come from the same future as Bishop, so it's a little bit different what's going on there and how they're merging the two, but that is the big screen.
I think Bishop comes from say 100 years in the future and Cable's from like 1,000 years. Some
Cable's farther
like
away, right? Or is it just future or reality?
I don't know.
I think it's just future, right?
Well, when it comes to the future, it's always a different.
And
whatever
Marvel,
they need to write it at the time.
And Marvel.
Yeah.
Josh, did you see Days of Future Past?
I did. I was actually just totally blown away that they were able to come full circle from X-Men 3 and give us something that the fans could really enjoy. It was a strange choice of some of the extra characters, like why not Psylocke and why the ones they did pick. You know what I mean?
It was interesting. You're right. There were some obscure characters. I guess we would say they are obscure characters in there. They weren't in the.
It wasn't like Sunfire or Sunspot in there.
Sunfire, yeah.
Okay,
Sunfire,
why choose him instead of Psylocke?
Right.
Yeah, and I actually I'm not a purist when it comes to that's based on the comic. It has to follow the comic. Like I'm actually much happier that it wasn't Kitty Pryde that we were following through this series. You know what I mean? Like I didn't need that movie. I much rather followed Wolverine through time.
Okay.
Definitely, that would have been a little bit more of a boring movie, I think, too, with following Kitty Pryde instead of Wolverine. I mean, the way they've set the movies up, he's been so integral. I mean, all his little cameos, especially where you see Professor X and Magneto walk in the bar, and he's like, "Fuck off," So that just leads up to all this kind of stuff. I'm excited for Apocalypse. I think this is going to be really cool. I'm wondering if we're going to see Angel. Are we going to see Archangel as part of the four Horsemen? There's been many variations of the Four Horsemen. I wonder if that's what's going to happen because didn't he kind of rebel and go and not accept what was going on when he was in the last movie? So he was just kind of like teeter-tottering and accepting being a mutant or whatever.
Are you talking an X3?
Yeah.
I'm okay if they don't even use that Angel and it's just like here's another guy who's named Archangel.
No, that would be cool too. I think any of the Four Horsemen would be really visually cool.
Well, that's it. I mean, I don't think if the less we talk about X3, the better. The less we acknowledge that movie, the better.
Okay. What's worse, X3 or Green Lantern?
Green Lantern.
Oh shit! Oh shit! What are you saying?
I don't know. Honestly, they're both.
They're both equally sucky.
That's like saying do you want to get punched in the nose or punched in the ball? They both suck. It's both gonna.
I'll take punched in the nose if you're saying punched in the nose or the balls. I think I'll take. Well, I don't know.
But the point is that they're both horrible movies.
Yeah. You didn't like Green Lantern, huh, Josh?
No, I feel like it was one of those movies where, to me, that they tried to put too much into it
And not
to the
enough.
point where it lost any real substance. It was just a whole lot of scenes of things thrown at you, and then it really didn't come together for me. And I didn't really like some of the humor in it. It felt a little bit, I don't know, the humor in Guardians of the Galaxy is brilliant. Humor in Green Lantern for me was a bit,
forced.
I don't know, intrusive to the movie.
It felt forced.
Yeah.
Even though Ryan Reynolds is a great comedic actor, he's good. I shouldn't say great. It just felt forced. The writing felt forced. Almost kind of like Coulson's jokes on the show. Different than in the movie. His jokes on S.H.I.E.L.D., Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. seem forced, and it's hard to take at times.
Yeah, and I think that's, for me, that was one of the killers for Green Lantern. Because, again, I have no problem with Ryan Reynolds. I think that he looks the part. I like him in all the other movies. I'm excited that he's going to do a Deadpool. I like him in films. It's just there was something about the script. Like, I feel like somewhere along the way there was a different script originally, and it ended up being this movie.
No, I like I said, they missed so much. The core. They could have done the Light War. I mean, it could have been so much, and just hint into the rest of the universe. So we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll see some hints of Green Lantern in BVS. So we'll find out. Hopefully, that would be really cool to tie in everything. DC needs to get on board with expanding their universe really quick. We talked briefly last week, Josh, about how all of a sudden DC is now 6 shows on 5 networks right now, and that's unheard of. So I think they may be focusing more on the small screen, which they've been so successful at throughout the years.
Yeah, go with what they know.
Exactly.
It's and if they're the ones that can produce shows that have lasting potential and continue to give us the characters we love on the small screen, then go for it. I don't think that they're gonna always bomb in the box office, but it's going to be really hard to compete with what the Marvel Cinematic Universe has done.
No, I agree with that, and I think why not to say not compete. But you know what? Hey, you got the big screen for the next few years. We're taking over longevity here on the small screen, and capitalizing on that advertising and that kind of money and on a lower budget. We'll see what happens when the Netflix series comes out. I'm excited to see Daredevil, all 13 episodes all at once.
Definitely.
I will call into work for at least 2 days and just binge watch that episode or that series.
It was funny you just mentioned that, because I was just going to interject. That being said, with DC on the small screen, I'm really excited to see what they're able to do in a Netflix, no corporate network control kind of situation, where they do have the creative control and the character control to link their different stories together. And then they're going to give us a 5th series, right, with all of them together?
You're getting Daredevil, Luke Cage and Iron Fist together, Jessica Jones, and then the Defenders.
That's
okay,
right.
Defenders will be the 4th series.
Yes,
That's
that's correct. Now, Josh, do you think it'll be a gritty Daredevil because it'll be on Netflix and not worried about cable and network restrictions, or are we going to get an Affleck Daredevil?
I don't think it's going to be Affleck, but I don't think it's going to be so gritty. I think that they know that their audience is broad. It's a large age group. I don't think it's going to be super adult, but I think because they're filming in Manhattan, they're getting the real grittiness of the streets. And I think that's going to have a really cool feel to it, as opposed to like a Hollywood studio version of Manhattan.
I understand and get a little bit of the grittiness of Hell's Kitchen, get that going. I don't think there'll be like a lot of swearing or make it, but I think it's going to be a little dark. I don't know. It seems to be the trend going right now. I'm not really sure. I don't think it's going to be so dark that the little kids can't watch it, but I think they're going to go with that Marvel Knights feel, and I think we might see. I'm looking forward to it. Now, Mr. Joe Nubb, you have to depart.
Yeah, bud.
Okay.
I think we got my little one now.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, Mr. Nubb.
Hey, thanks a lot. Josh, it was great talking with you, man.
Hey, it was fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Definitely.
All right, then. Well, Josh and I will do my picks, and then we'll do a little wrap up here, and we'll be going. So I'll let you go, Joe.
Sweet.
See you later.
Later, nerds.
Later. Now, I guess I got to do my pick for the week. I've been doing, as you know, I've been doing the big 2, more DC than Marvel lately. But thank you to Mr. Mike Sains, Independent Jones himself, got me onto the indie kick with some image books, Black Science. My new favorite is Outcast by Kirkman. I would tell you my pick would be this week's issue, but I haven't read it yet, but it's still a safe pick to try and pick up that series. I know #1 is very hard to get right now, but you can always get it at comixology.com. So check out the digital version of that. Get in that series quick. We might even see it on a TV screen near you soon. I know Kirkman's really pushing for his stuff to get into the small screen and live action. But
how many issues of that have been out so far?
I want 1, 2, 3. This should be the 4th. Should be the 4th issue so far. Great series. Awesome series. If you haven't yet, try and pick it up, Josh. I think you'd really enjoy it. Really gritty like The Walking Dead, but that's different premise, demons, possession, difficult. The lead characters dealing with situations and kind of in denial at first of seeing some of these demons and possessions. Local priest is helping him through that and using him to help get rid of these possessions. So it's kind of reminds me of an old Wes Craven. It has a Wes Craven feel to it. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but it's very entertaining.
It has like a horror feel without being necessarily like super gruesome.
Yes, exactly. The artwork is gritty. I love the artwork. But yeah, definitely worth a check out. That's my independent pick for the week. I've been more and more finding myself going away from the capes and cowls, as I call it, the superhero books. I do enjoy my Green Lantern. I love my Batman. Spider-Man is still my fave, but now with all this new writing and new opportunities coming out of new books, it draws me in to some of these other great supernatural type stuff, non-capes and cowls, as I call it. But getting into that is my pick of the week. So check that out over on Image or comixology.com. Go check them out. Like I said, you can get issue 1, 2, 3 any time of the day, which is always great. I'm not a big fan of the digital, but it's definitely, if you can't find that book, it's a great resource to have. And it is usually $1 cheaper too. So that's always good. Josh, now we hinted in the beginning, talked a little bit about con season. So we know that my next stop in 8 days is going to be New York City Comic Con. I'm assuming that you too will be at New York City Comic Con.
I will. I'll actually, for the first time in 3 years, I'll be going to the con as an attendee, as just enjoying the show. I've exhibited there at the Artist Alleys a lot, and I did a panel last year on tattoos there, and this time I'm just going to enjoy the show. So I'll be there on Thursday, and I'll be hooking up with you at some point.
Nice. Now, are you just going one day, Josh?
I'm just gonna go Thursday and potentially Saturday as well. I'm getting too old for the crowds, man.
I tell you what, we went 3 years ago for the first time and first big con was New York City. We went 3 years ago. We had done other cons around the area, but we went as we had just started Fanboys Inc. a month prior, so we just went as attendees. I tell you what, we went Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we get out of the hotel, we take the subway in, and I look at Nub and we see the crowds, and you're like, do you want to go in? And I'm like, I don't really want to go in. Do you want to go in? But we had some friends in Artist Alley, so we went down and talked with them, talked with Ron Mars and a couple guys. But I'm like, we're going in and getting out. I hear one person say the word comic book to me, I'm going to punch you in the face. It's just sensory overload at that point. It's in the crowds. I'm not usually a person who's worried about crowds, but that's your exercise. Anybody doesn't understand how much exercise you get and how exhausting it is to fight through people, weed in and out. People laugh at me. They're like, you're like a little snake. I just weeding out, and I'm like a contortionist through the crowds and just keep moving.
Dive, you got to duck.
Yeah, it's like everybody's like, well, I just did the zombie walk. I'm like, well, take off the zombie costume and come do the New York City Comic Con walk and see if you can get from one end to this end in under 10 minutes, and then you'll see how tired and sweaty you are at the end.
Yeah, I think that my first year at New York Comic Con, the Saturday, I got there in the morning and had some word of advice from some other people that have been there before. They were like, hey, good morning, got your coffee, cool. You might as well go get your lunch now.
Yes.
And bring it back to the table. And I was like, nah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It took me an hour and a half to go to the food court, get pizza, and come back.
Oh, yeah.
And not to be, and I'm not dogging the con because it's that busy because it's that awesome.
Yes,
it's so amazing. There's so much to see and do. It's, I just got to go to San Diego Con for the first time.
Oh, how was that?
It was amazing. And it truly is the largest one. I mean, without a doubt. And even if it's not square footage larger, it's larger in the sense that, you have all the major networks and all the major studios bringing out all their big guns. Everybody's, got like 2-floor, booths, like you'll have the, HBO will have a giant tower and, nice. It's everybody's there. But the same, I did one day at San Diego and my legs hurt, my feet hurt. I'm such an old man. I was like, how do these kids do it all 4 days?
The problem is you almost have to do it 4 days to see everything that's in that con.
Oh yeah, I missed so much. I was on the shuttle going back to the hotel at the end of the day, and I noticed there's all this stuff outside. There was an Assassin's Creed obstacle course, and there was all this stuff going on outside, spilling into the Gaslamp district. That I just scratched the surface of that show. And New York is the same way. It's the Javits Center is so big, everything's so spread out, but they just pack it full of some really, really awesome stuff. So I'm really excited to go there just to enjoy the con for once, with no other objective or things that I have to do.
Now, yeah, we'll meet up on Thursday. Now we have you have possibly doing something with the other group that we are associated with Unit 5 that weekend. Possibly we hearing about with the premiere of Drift, their short produced by our good friend Comic Head Brian Feraldo from the SIT Network. Somebody's going to get a Unit 5 tattoo done by you.
Yeah, not on site.
Come on, we're gonna podcast that. We want to hear the pain. No, just kidding.
Yeah, we're not gonna do it on site, but I love what they're doing with Unit 5. I love that, being from the Northeast and being from the Poconos, which is not far out of the city, our community was just as much affected by 9/11. And then the Unit 5 story of these heroes rising from it, I think it's fantastic. I have a lot of friends and clients that, if they don't have family that were first responders, I actually am friends with some people that, were first responders and have, and are dealing with, the medical issues that ensued from, breathing all that dust. And, so it's an important thing that I think Unit 5's doing is putting a real piece of heart behind their characters. So I'm totally supportive of that. And, it'll be super fun to do what I think might be one of the first Unit 5 tattoos.
I believe so.
So we're gonna organize some sort of rules to this.
Yes,
right now it's the planning stage. But
yeah, guys, check out facebook.com/Unit 5 Comic. Skip Winter, the creator and writer of that book, we'll be putting out the rules as we get closer. We'll be doing the premiere on Saturday, October 11th. We'll be doing, hopefully, Josh, you'll be able to join us for that, as we'll be doing a live podcast after the premiere. You'll be joining us if you can sit in with us. We just got the venue, I believe. We're working out the last minute details. There's a lot of work in behind getting this all organized. Brian, Comic Head Feraldo, will be with us Friday, Saturday, and Sunday as well. We'll be podcasting from the showroom floor of New York City Comic Con at noon Saturday. So join us. Come on up to the table. Hang out with myself and Brian. We'll be walking around all day. We'll do some videos. We will always do some. If you met Brian yet, Josh?
No, I have not. Oh no, yeah, I did.
Were you on? Was he with you when you were on ISO?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes,
I just blanked out for a second.
Yes,
we met doing ISO Comics.
He is, as he would say, I'm one funny bitch. He is one funny bitch. I tell you what, he's just getting together with him is fun. I mean, he makes the con fun. We did some videos last year and did some little shorts and stuff, so it was pretty cool. So that'll be a fun experience.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing him again. He was a pleasure to chat with last time, and then everybody will be there for the Drift premiere on the Saturday. So I know that you'll have details on your site. I'll be obviously posting details as well for that. So I'm looking forward to it. The trailer looks amazing. I think the good thing with any kind of trailer is seeing it and being like, I need to see more, and I immediately know that I want to see this.
Yes, it looks really cool. I was telling, I've seen the full short already, and I've already told Skip, I want a longer one. I want more. I want more to see this story. But the short itself looks amazing. Josh, with every guest, Joe's not here, but with every guest, we'd like to put you through the danger room.
Okay.
It's 3 random questions that we have, and just think right off the top of your head. And they can range from anything. So, my first question is usually my go-to. I like to ask all our guests, the zombie apocalypse is coming. We all know it. We should prepare for it. There's TV shows about it, right? You have 3 items that you can take with you when the apocalypse hits Funhouse tattoo shop. What would be the 3 things that you could take? It can be plant, animal, whatever you want. What 3 things would you take with you to survive the apocalypse?
The tools of survival is definitely. I think it in the same. It's almost like the deserted island syndrome, where you definitely also need something to entertain yourself with. So I've been told a pack of playing cards is useful, but I think that I would because I think of the boredom when I think of zombie apocalypse.
Boredom. You're gonna be running away from zombies.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of downtime too. You know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff that's cut out of The Walking Dead, which is everyone just sitting around looking at each other.
Right. I hear you.
So you need a pack of cards. Because boredom, is going to kill you first. I would normally default to like a weapon that is long range, because in the video games I usually like to keep a distance, but we all know that a crossbow is probably useful. But I'm gonna go with like the baseball bat method, because I think that's a little more handy.
Okay, a little up close and personal.
For some reason, I think I'm getting all my items at Dick's Sporting Goods right now.
A batting glove. I'll take a catcher's mask.
And pack of gum. And then I think the final thing I would probably have to have for distance protection would be my dogs, because if you can hear them in the background, they're actually going nuts.
I can.
There's
they're
a
having
zombie
some fun.
apocalypse right now in my house,
they're
because
protecting you.
They are a good warning system. So
nice.
It should be a man and his dogs and a baseball bat and a pack of cards.
That sounds like more of a love story than a zombie apocalypse. I like it. That's awesome. I love it. I'm an artist as well. I do prints and graphic design, but I also try to put pencil to paper, especially more so now that I'm doing a lot of computer work. I find myself sometimes in creative jams, so I pick some of my favorite tunes. When you're either sketching or even if you're tattooing on someone, do you have a go-to album or go-to band that just gets you pumped into doing the piece or gets your creative juices flowing?
That's a good question. I think music is really, really important in art. They've done studies. We know that it stimulates the brain and everything. I think music is definitely a go-to resource. I think if I'm in the mood and I'm drawing something a little grittier, a little darker, something with some grit to it, my default is some old school Metallica.
Nice. Okay.
A little bit of Master of Puppets. I mean, that was like my go-to metal album growing up. When I get into stuff that's like a little more, I guess you would say a little spacier, I like to I mix it up, man. I'll just throw like a Pandora station of, something sort of trip hoppy, like Sneaker Pimps or something like that. Nice, and something that's a little more rhythmic and something that you don't have to pay attention to, but just sort of like is in the environment.
Right. I hear you. There's your pick. See, there you were worried about having a pick of the week. We got Metallica and Sneaker Pimps. I mean,
that couldn't have been two further artists further apart from each other.
No, but that's all right. I mean, it's inspirational by any means. Now, when you read a comic, do you read with a particular music or do you like it quiet?
I actually like it quiet, because I feel, with a musical background that I have, I can't listen to something without sort of like playing along like the drum beat or something. It is kind of distracting. Even when I'm tattooing, I'm usually like tapping a foot or something and or kind of weaving and bobbing. And when I read comics, I really like to just invest everything into it, kind of get lost in it.
Gotcha.
So I'm definitely the go in the corner, quiet,
leave me alone,
kind of private, leave me alone. Nice. I'm reading my comic books.
Nice. I'll listen to a soundtrack. My go-to is like if I'm reading a book, depending if it's like say Batman, maybe even Avengers World or New Avengers, I'll put in my go-to the Predator soundtrack, the original Predator. Or
ooh, that's a good one.
As much as the movie was crappy, I like the Green Lantern soundtrack. I'm not distracted by music. I'm distracted by lyrics when I read. So having just something mellow in the background, and sometimes it almost works panel for panel. It's almost like having an experience. You don't plan on it, but the song, you might just get lucky and there's action in the book and the action in the soundtrack just picks right up. It's a really kind of neat experience. All of a sudden you're like, no way, this is kind of cool, kind of goosebumpy. You're like, no, this is pretty cool how this worked out.
I think you're onto something. I think there should always be a recommendation of movie soundtrack to play while reading a particular issue.
There you go. Maybe we can do a soundtrack and a comic together. You know, Mike and Ming are working on their comic and record vinyl. You know, like they did back in the 70s. That'd be a cool idea, having a soundtrack for your book. So this is the Avengers, new Avengers issue, whatever soundtrack. That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of soundtracks, I have a funny experience working in a shop. I was guest spotting at my friend's Matt Diffa in London. And his shop, Jolie Rouge, has this very pirate theme. And for like 2 days straight, they just ran the soundtrack to the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Oh, nice.
And it was like such a fun environment to be working in. So I think, you know, music is sort of a universal language. And you're absolutely right. Now that you've mentioned listening to soundtracks while reading some comic books, I think that's something I need to try out.
Cool. Check that out. All right. We got our last question. All right. Driving, we all know about road rage. It happens to the best of us, or, you know, we're having a serious moment. What's your go-to curse word? What's your favorite curse word?
it probably comes from I'm a big Tenacious D fan.
Oh no.
And and there's a scene in one of their albums where they're talking and Jack just gets really just frustrated with Cage, and he goes, "Cock-ass!" So I don't know if it's cock ass or cock chaos. I'm not really sure, but just that usually comes out of me. I turn into Jack Black.
Nice.
For rage.
Well, cool.
So
we'll have to see if that's in Wikipedia or in the new dictionaries that are coming out.
Cock chaos.
Nice. I love it. Now, Josh, where can they find you every week, sir? What time and day of the week and channel can they find you on Epic Inc., you and your friends?
Me and my friends will invade your television in your household every Wednesday, including today is Wednesday. Today is Epic Wednesday.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time on the A&E network, Epic Inc. comes at you fast and furious. It's a half-hour program, so it's sort of like a visual assault in a half an hour. And you can also rewatch or binge watch all of the previous episodes on aetv.com. There's Epic Inc. on there on the A TV app, and also I believe Hulu Plus also has it. iTunes has all the episodes, so you can binge watch till your heart's desire. And we have an all new episode tonight, which is going to be really fun. It's called I think it's called Eye of the Beholder. Heather Miranda is going to do a pretty wild tattoo, doing a photorealistic eyeball on the back of a dude's head.
Oh, like the eye. Oh, now that would be cool. The Eye of Agamotto.
It was freaky in person, like being there. It was sort of like you didn't want to stand behind him, and I think that was his whole goal. So, you know,
that is kind of weird if you're standing in line. That would freak me out. Really, I'm standing in line at the movie theater, and there's a giant eyeball. Yeah, I'd be kind of weirded out by that.
Yeah, there's I actually have this is one of the few episodes I've seen already, and there's a particular scene, and I don't know at what point it is, at what timestamp it is, but he turns to turn away from the viewer, and you see the back of his head, and as he turns, the lighting hits it just right. It's kind of scary, like you're waiting for that to blink, man. It's crazy.
Oh, like it shines.
So that one's going to be a pretty wild episode, and we've got
how many more episodes in the series?
There's 10 in the series for the season, and I think we're at episode 7 right now. So awesome. We've had some really fun episodes. We had the C2E2 episode we talked about.
Yeah, that was awesome. Love that.
We had an episode where Elvira joins us for a little Friday the 13th party. We've had an episode where we've done some truffle shuffling, and so if you haven't checked it out and you're listening to the podcast, definitely go online, get some recap, and tune in tonight. And my regular home base shop is in the Poconos, Tannersville, Pennsylvania. It's Funhouse Tattooing. And also when I travel, I'm at Area 51 in Springfield, Oregon, and I can be found online. My website is Josh Bodwell, JoshBodwell.com, and I'm all over the social sphere, and all my handles is just at Josh Bodwell.
It's funny that you're lucky you got that. I was thinking that the other day when I was shouting, I'm like, he didn't get Josh Bodwell 39. He got Josh Bodwell. That's pretty cool.
I think there's only like 3 people in America with the same name.
I will prove you wrong because I Skyped you today.
Oh yeah.
8. I got 8. Okay. I did 8 on Skype, and I'm like, and none of them have a picture. I'm like, shit.
Well, they're probably all my old ones that I like forgot the password.
Right. you're protecting yourself against from Shield or Hydra. You're making all your aliases.
Exactly. Nice. But yeah, so I'm easy to find. I promote most of my newest work, so people want to check out what I do and see some of the newest pieces. Instagram and Twitter are a great place to follow. And I'm going to be joining y'all at Comic-Con. So I'll be walking around Thursday, and people spot me, come say hey, high five. You know, I love to meet people, and I might have some stickers on me that I might be giving out. I say that now, and then I'm going to get there and forget them, but.
We'll have to. We'll go buy some Hello Kitty stickers before you get in the con. And
we'll be like, hey, I didn't say what kind of stickers.
That's right. What kind of stickers? Guys, thank you so much for listening. Josh, thank you so much, man, for coming and joining us. We'll have to do it again soon. I just want to talk some more about the art end of things. This is me being an artist and a tattoo collector myself. I guess you'd say collector. I don't know. It sounds odd as saying collector, but it is. It's a collection. Yeah. We'll definitely talk about some more comics in the near future. You will be hopefully joining us Saturday, October 11th at our Unit 5 short Drift premiere. Myself, Comic Head, Comic Wow will be there as well as Josh Bodwell as well. Guys, you can follow us at Fanboys Inc. on Twitter. Like us over at facebook.com/Fanboys Inc. And as always, check us out at fanboysinc.com. We are on Stitcher and iTunes. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I know I'm going to be watching tonight on A&E, Epic Inc. You guys should too. Josh, sir, thank you so much for joining us. And just hang on the line a little bit there right after.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Peace.